real estate agents. Welcome to the Weekly Closer. I'm your host, Jeff Underwood, along with my co-host and business partner, Joey Sampaga.
That's me.
He's that man with the plan back there. What kind of plan you got today?
We got some awesome plans today. We're talking with an awesome guy who's going to talk about some awesome things.
That's right. We are the Real Estate Marketing Maniacs. Oh, yeah. We've got a special guest with us today, and that's Tory Adair with Gentry Real Estate.
Tory.
Hey, welcome, Tory. What's up?
Good morning.
It is a good morning.
It is.
It's going to be a hot day, though.
We've got a hot week.
Yeah, real hot.
Probably the hottest of the summer.
Record breaking.
I hope it's the hottest of the summer.
You like the heat, huh?
No, I'm just saying, get it over with.
I guess that's true.
I don't want any more of them like this.
Well, if you keep wearing that beanie, it'll keep you warmer.
It's part of the look for the show,
That's right.
Joey.
That's right.
I don't wear it outside unless I need to block the sun. No. All right. So, Tory, how are you doing? And thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be
here. We truly
here.
appreciate you coming in. And so, Tory's going to share some awesome stuff with us about wholesaling. So I'm really excited about this show. I know the agents are going to be excited. Why don't you start with how long you've been in the business and what got you into real estate?
Okay. I've been in the business 9 years, so there's a lot of people with more tenure than me out there, but I've gotten my feet wet for a while. A little bit of desperation got me into the business. I was at a bank called Wachovia. If you don't know their history, in 2008, they overextended themselves and were bought out by a smaller bank, Wells Fargo, who's taken over. But at the time, Wells Fargo laid a fair share of those employees off. I was one of those. I had a brother and some others. We'd been involved in real estate for a number of years, personally, but not professionally.
Yeah.
And so when we were both unemployed for a while and were finding a hard time getting a job in the financial markets. They were in bad shape at the time, and so we thought we need to employ ourselves. And if something goes down, something else goes up, and wholesale real estate went up. And so we learned the auction business and started there.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. Wild ride, I guess, huh?
It was, and just as soon as we thought it started to slow down, it would be another wrinkle in the road.
Yeah.
We were buying from the courtyards, we were buying from the auctions, and then the hedge funds came in. Of course, margins changed quickly, and
Right.
My younger brother, who was at Wachovia with me, he became the director of acquisition for Invitation Homes, which was the largest hedge fund at the time that we're buying, and he bought, I don't know, about 3,000 houses.
Wow.
Signed on the dotted line for them here, but that hurt me at first. So I had to find another way to find those houses because I couldn't beat them at the auction. I couldn't outbid them.
Yeah.
So I went direct to customer.
Yeah.
Found a company called Homevestors that had a real strong brand and marketing reach.
Yeah.
So I bought a franchise in 2012, and we started remodeling homes for Invitation Homes specifically at first, just because we knew exactly what they wanted. And they were paying enough. If we found them, cleaned them up, turned them over to them, they were writing checks. They had a lot of money in the bank. So that's how I got started.
All right. Well, I'm sure that the agents out there, anytime we mention wholesaling, I get excited about it because I want to know probably the one thing that really jumps out is how do you find the houses?
Yeah.
How do you find these properties to make sure that it works, right?
Well, I'd say there's four main ways to find the houses. The most expensive is direct to customer, and that typically gets you the best deal.
Direct to customer.
Direct to customer, of course, it's the most expensive because that's the marketing arm. And at Homevestors, they had a reputation for that, so that's why I picked up the franchise. They do radio, TV, direct mail, internet, billboards, a little bit of everything.
So they are actually the Open Door before Open Door was Open Door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they were the kind of the leader in direct to customer home buying.
Got it.
And now they've got quite a bit of competition. Open Door, OfferPad, of course Zillow's in the market now.
Yes.
And so we've seen that competition grow.
Right. Well, most of those three are probably looking for things that don't need a lot of work, right?
Correct.
Are you looking for mostly properties that need quite a bit of work?
Especially now that competition has grown, our niche is still when they need more work. The more work there is, the more margin that we can make up for in that remodel, because we can remodel cheaper than most can.
Okay. So how would you find? So if you're going direct to customer, how would you find someone? What's the message? I guess is it that you have a house you need to get rid of?
Yeah.
You just don't have the money to put into it. We'll take it off your hands.
The statistics say that at any one time, 3 to 5% would prefer to wholesale over retail, meaning they don't want to make those changes, whatever it needs to be, for that house to be financeable or to have people come into their house and market it for, buy the house, view it, see it. Oftentimes it's repairs. Sometimes it's timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not always. When I first got into business, I actually didn't purchase a franchise for a year. I was really worried that I was going to be taking advantage of people in a down market. And I had a friend who took me out on some sales calls with him, and I found that most clients weren't that. There was probably 20 to 30% that needed to get out of their houses quickly because their financial situation was bad. But a lot of times it wasn't necessarily taking advantage. It was them needing to get out of that, and they wouldn't get any equity out of it if they couldn't sell it quickly.
Sure.
And they had enough equity that if we offered them something, they could usually get something. So I found that if I was careful, I could help people instead of take advantage of them and still make a living myself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Before we get to the other three, is there like a sweet spot that you try to stay in as far as like price point?
Mm-hmm.
What I mean, and I'm assuming like your standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath is kind of where you want to stay as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sweet spots, and there's a book that I read early on before I was introduced to the Homevestors model. We buy ugly houses is our tagline. People probably more familiar with that than we are.
Yeah.
But I read a book, Find It, Fix It, Flip It.
Okay.
And
sounds like an HGTV show.
Yeah, I think the guy's from Southern California. He was a TV personality that flipped homes on his own at first, and then kind of moved more that way. His calculation was 65 cents to the dollar. So after rehab value times by 65% minus the cost of the rehab. Now that's a wonderful number. It's just really, really hard to find a home.
Find that.
Yeah, it is. And maybe I would say, I don't know, my experience, maybe 1 in 50 that they need to move that quick and are willing to, that is something that they're happy with, willing to sell a house at that price. So if you can become more efficient either in your remodeling or your marketing or something, cutting your costs, or you can take less margin, you'll be much more successful. So if you can get up to that 70 cents to the dollar, 75, you can get to the 80 cents, that's kind of the sweet spot. And the reason why is average cost to sell for people is usually right around 10% by the time they pay realtor fees, closing costs, buyer inspection repairs, and prep before they list the house. And so by the time you add all that in there, talk about 10%. If somebody offers you 80 cents to the dollar, 82 cents to the dollar, you're giving up 8%, which if you've got an investment that's going to make you 30, you're going to go put some money in Bitcoin and make a lot of money, then maybe you like that. Maybe that's good enough for you. Maybe if you've got a transfer for work and your job's going to pay you a percentage of that loss back and you just want to have it be done and gone, that might be worth it.
All right.
But there's usually 3 to 5% of the market that's ready for that. And of course, I think that's growing a little bit with the OfferPad, Open Doors, Zillows. I think it's getting more like 7% of the market.
Wow.
Prefer. I think they've grown that.
All right. Anybody listening, you can also lose money in Bitcoin. Yeah. Just say. Okay, so did we just talk about one of the 4 ways?
We just talked about the first. That's direct to customer. So the second, a lot of people are familiar with courtyard steps. So your auction houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in how that works. I mean, do they you have signs and they throw out numbers? And
you give them a $10,000 check and fill out a form that allows you to bid in the first place. And it's more complicated than most people think to actually get what you want, to get the property. A lot of them are postponed, canceled. The banks are constantly working with the owners to see if they make a late payment, they'll take it off.
Oh, got it.
So you may think you've got something, and you'll find that it takes a lot more time than you think. I would recommend if somebody wants to go that route to work with a bid service. They'll usually charge $2,000 or $3,000. They have guys on the courtyard steps. They provide all the information. They'll do drive-bys, and you'll probably have to pick, investigate, and bid on 20 houses before you get one.
Wow.
At that 80 cents a dollar. If you're trying to get 75 or 65 cents a dollar, it's not going to happen right now. At this time, there's too much competition.
Yeah.
But you can find one still at 80, 82 cents, 83 cents to the dollar in the courtyard steps if you know what you're doing.
All right.
Okay.
That's number 2.
Yeah, number 3 obviously is I shouldn't say obviously, but there's a number of wholesalers out there that'll buy them at the auctions and send them out on lists to investors. And you can go on their websites and sign up on their lists. So, and they pass those lists around oftentimes, and so once you get on one, you'll get on another, and if you get yourself on 4 or 5, next thing you know, you'll be on 10 lists, and they're sending houses to you all the time. You can buy through that wholesale network.
So they buy it like at 70% or 70 cents per dollar, and then they would say, okay, we'll sell it to you for 75 or something.
Yes.
Or 80. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's easy.
And typically, they're sending them out at about 85 cents to the dollar.
Oh, 85, okay.
And then they'll lower them almost like a car lot the longer they hold them. And so you can call back and say, I'll pay 82 cents, say I'll pay a little bit less and see if they feel confident they can sell it. They'll probably say no. If they don't, they may say yes.
And that's typically cash, right?
Yes.
You need to have the cash.
Cash, and most of the time they consider hard money cash.
Okay.
So we can talk more about that if we got time.
All right. And the fourth way?
Fourth way is the multi-listing system, good old-fashioned way. A lot of people will put a property on the multi-listing system at a significant discount. And so we build our own routines that scrapes at that system 3 times a day. It sends me an email that actually compares it to other automated systems like Zillow and RPR, and comes back and gives me the percentage to retail.
Huh.
And the ones that I flag if they're a certain percentage below retail, I'll flag those and investigate them more. And they'll, there's other companies that do the same thing, and you'll have 4 or 5 bids on your house right away if you put it out in the market on the multi-listing system at 80 cents to the dollar. You'll find out how many people watch that very carefully.
All right.
Interesting. I've heard about people listing homes in the MLS for $1. They list it for $1 to try and get bids. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It'll draw some attention.
It definitely will. It's like eBay.
The seller still has an option, probably.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have a minimum price
that they're willing to do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So if investors, I guess let's talk about ways that investors can get involved.
Okay.
Whether they have the cash enough to just go buy cash. You said there's also hard money.
Right.
If they just want to use a small portion of their funds to be involved somehow. I mean, how do you see that play out?
I think I see quite commonly an investor who decides he's got some money. They'll maybe have $60,000-$70,000 in the bank. Maybe they'll get a second mortgage in their house for a couple $100,000, and they want to remodel a house and sell it. And we've got investors, hard money lenders, who will lend up to 90%. Typically don't lend 100%. They want some skin in the game.
Yeah.
They really want 30% down or 20% down, but if the house is a good buy and they're confident with it, they'll do that up to 90%. Also, some of them will fund up to 90% of the remodel for them. The more you're going to borrow, though, I think the more you need to keep in the bank. Sounds counterintuitive, but
sure.
You never know what's going to go wrong. You want to make sure you have enough funds that you can make it through to the end. Hold the house until it has to be sold. If you got to sell it quickly, you may probably lose what you gained.
Got it. And what's kind of a typical turn time on once you have the house, get it fixed up, get it back on the market?
You really want to get that thing, and obviously it depends on the age of the house and how much needs to be done to it. Most early investors, I would say, stick with a cosmetic remodel. That's going to be kitchen, bathrooms, flooring, paint, lighting. If it needs walls moved around and opened up, I wouldn't start that way.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't start when you're going to expand it and have go to for new licensing. I would permits. If you got to have permits, I would. That's a different process, and you need somebody stronger, somebody who's been through that process.
You Chip and Joe at that point.
Yeah.
No. You get it?
A good general contractor, Chip and Joe would handle that easily. They've done enough of that for long enough. But for you, I wouldn't start that one. You don't need it that bad. There's plenty of cosmetic. We love homes in the 80s because the master closet's got a little bit bigger, and they opened up a little bit in the 80s, and the windows got a little bit bigger. And so typically you find something in Dobson Ranch, and it was built in the mid-80s, and you come in and cosmetically completely update the bathrooms, kitchen, flooring, paint, lighting. Looks great, and plenty of people will come and buy that for you if you're priced right.
Absolutely. That was one of my questions, is what year kind of is what typical age of a property is kind of falls into that flip.
If it's been beat up, then the 90s are just fine. Obviously, once it gets into 2000s, it doesn't have to be remodeled. It looks good. It'll sell faster if it's refreshed, but sometimes you're not going to get dollar for dollar or $1.50 for the dollar you put into it if it didn't really need it, if it's more of a preference move. I mean, they had travertine in it, and you're going to put wood tile in it now. Wood tile's more popular. Travertine still works for most people.
So when people are flipping and they're finished doing what they need to do to the house to put it on the market, do they typically do it through a real estate agent, or is someone who's part of the flipping team a real estate agent so that those commissions aren't coming out? Or
the people I work typically come back to me. So, and oftentimes that's part of our deal. I'll sell it to you for this, and I'll list it for you for a discounted rate. A lot of those are discounted listings. They're not hard when they're vacant and they're remodeled. They sell fairly easily. A lockbox, a sign, and some decent negotiating and paperwork and answering your phone, and it's not that complicated. So a lot of times we'll do 1.5% instead of 3%. I know the realtors out there won't like hearing that.
No, they're all booing now.
They're pointing the finger at me.
Yeah, but if you've got a lot of flips ready to go, I mean, I'd be more than happy to list that for a 1.5.
I've got one I'm listing for 1.5 on Friday. The guy owns a restoration company. He bought it at the auction and has used his crews between larger projects, and I'll list it for 1.5%, and there's no drama. That's real simple, and it's profitable for me because it doesn't take a lot of time. He already knows exactly what he wants, and it'll be under contract in 2 to 3 weeks.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And I know you said price point or sweet spot on the investment side. What's kind of the price point that the houses, and are they ending up in the high 2s, low 3s once they're done, or 250 to 3?
The standard, I mean, we love it if we can buy something for 180 that's worth 270 ARV. And by the time you put 35, 40 into it, full cosmetic, and by the time you sell it, you made 27, 10%. That's kind of that net. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can make more than that's wonderful. You've got something to cheer about. But if you're steady, if you can make a steady 10%, turn that 3 times a year, you've got a nice setup. And so we really like that lower end side of it. And the market's really hot and under 300,000.
And you typically have like nowadays, you're saying, okay, everything that we're flipping is going to be gray walls, white baseboards.
You see a lot of that.
Yeah, with the plank tiling or whatever.
We got the taupe plank tiling, 2 or 3 different colors. We got 2 of them going on right now. That's exactly what they look like. There's, now if you're going to be remodeling in Scottsdale or on a higher end, you want to add more variety and change it. We just find that a neutral scape like that makes it easy for them to turn it into whatever they want. They can add color in the kitchen, add color in the front room, and put things on the wall, and it becomes their own house. But it doesn't. It's open enough to a larger percentage of the market.
Yeah. Okay. On the flipping side, isn't it's a lot more challenging now?
Yes.
Right. You want to
for sure
elaborate? I know you said there's some challenges there now, but is it just the margins?
It's more competitive at the auctions, at the data mining, that multi-listing system, at direct to customer advertisings. We spend more on our advertising to get the same leads that we got a few years back.
Yeah.
We obviously have Phoenix is a great entry point for a lot of companies, so it was Open Doors starting area.
Yep.
It was OfferPad's headquarters and starting area. Zillow chose to start here and in Vegas at the same time. So I mean, we have some of the I think other markets. I talked to guys in Portland. They're not seeing nearly the competition that we are. Our cost per lead has gone up, our cost per buy, but it's still profitable. So we just have to be better on the remodel side or more aggressive on the wholesale, so it works out.
Do you see that once it gets to a point where it's so competitive that some investors will go to different cities?
Oh yeah,
we've seen go to Nashville. Somebody mentioned Nashville was.
I've got a friend right now. Bought an RV and is traveling the country with his kids, and Nashville is one of his stops, and he's actually interested in. He's investigating as he goes for a move to one of those markets and change. So Nashville was one of his top 10 for that. He did some research ahead of time, and the kids think it's just for a great summer vacation, but they're actually looking to move.
Wow. Jeff, van life.
Van life.
You and I will go. We'll start investing money or investing in flips. You can work and I'll manage.
You can drive, right?
I'll drive.
Van life. Wait a minute. What about my wife? She's going to hate that.
Oh, yeah, my wife would too.
Oops. Have to be a large van that sits still most of the time. Oh, car sickness. Anyway, anything else you want to share with the agents about what you're seeing out there on the wholesale side or flipping side that people need to know about?
I know some very experienced agents out there that read it better than I do, so I don't know. Okay. Let me think for a second if I can share anything intelligent that might be useful. I
think
what
you've shared so far. So.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think it's just you keep your eyes open and you keep moving forward and things work out. I don't think you don't. Sometimes I see people let emotion get involved in decisions. I need to make more on this. I paid this much for it. Doesn't matter what you paid for. It doesn't matter what you want to make.
What you paid.
And not necessarily. Sometimes you cut your loss if you made a bad decision. The key is you've got to watch the market and what things are worth, read the comps without emotion, and say, okay, this is probably right. And get other opinions. I mean, I did a van tour. It's sometimes nice to have somebody go through your houses and say, I think you're high. And you don't have to wait 5 months, 6 months to find that out. Sometimes they'll let you know ahead of time. Now, if they're bringing a buyer, they're always going to say you're high because they want their buyer to buy it for less and make them look good. But you better pay attention and keep some emotion out of it and make sure if you made a bad choice, you own up to it and cut your losses and move on.
All right.
Yeah, I used to flip houses back in 2005 before the market crashed. Anybody could flip houses. Well, I did anyway. And the way I found houses was I just drove around the neighborhoods and saw one with a bunch of weeds in it and knocked on their door, and I actually got a couple that way.
I've left cards. I thought about that, putting it down as a fifth, but I've left cards on doors all the time when I do that, especially if I'm buying in the neighborhood. I'm driving out. I think I already know what we already did all our comps in here. This is almost a model match. I'll stick my card there. I can tell them exactly over the phone what I pay for the house. So yeah.
So will you take investors who don't want to do the work and just want to put money in?
Of course. Yep. We work with quite a few that way, and we've got the resources to remodel them. Of course, it is a tight labor market for skilled labor right now.
Sure. What's usually the ROI on that for someone investing?
It's a great choice. I mean, we're still shooting for the same. We shoot for that 10%, but a lot of times if somebody else, if they're not doing anything but providing the capital, they may end up at 8%, 7%. But of course, if you can move that 3 times a year, you can still be good if you make good decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And so if any agents that are watching or listening want to reach out to you directly, how do they do that if they have some questions for you?
Email address might be the easiest.
Okay.
Tory.adair@gmail.com. It's Tory.adair@gmail.
All right. Fantastic. Cool. Tory, you ready to get in the ring?
There we go.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. What's the best advice that anyone's ever given you?
Probably keep emotion out of it.
Keep emotion out of it. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Keep logical.
How about your favorite mobile app?
I got to go with RPR. I use that a lot.
That's a good
Real estate
one, isn't
property
it?
resource.
That gives you everything.
I like to top left-hand corner. They've got all the tax records for the last year with the label. I can see what's sold in different sizes. I can look at the whole neighborhood at once. I don't have to do a more complicated search.
Yeah.
So you use that on your phone?
Yep. Phone, iPad, and my computer.
I haven't added it to my phone. I have to do that. How about a book recommendation?
I would say, I listened to a negotiating one, and guys, I really hate to negotiate, but this was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
All right.
I just had to look it up on my phone to remember, but he's quite different negotiation tactics, and I thought that helps me.
Huh.
Audible's great, isn't it?
I do. I love Audible when you're driving around,
I
and
love it too.
Favorite phone app?
I probably should have said Audible.
Oh, there we go. Well, you can use your second favorite phone app to find out what your favorite book is. There we go.
There you go.
How about a productivity tool or software that you use on a regular basis?
Something simple, probably like Google Calendar. I mean, you get pulled in so many different directions. Your phone's ringing all the time as a realtor, and so you forget appointments. That's very unprofessional. So you got to make sure you get those little alarms come up and say, "Hey, you got this in 20 minutes. You better get ready."
That's
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Have a drop
go.
from the mask.
Careful.
This is beautiful. What is that, velvet?
Okay, let's see what we got here. Who was your favorite singer or band in high school?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
God, that's going to be a hard call. Two bands.
Or you can mention a couple if you want.
Yeah.
U2 had Rattle and Hum. I was in the 80s. Rattle and Hum was a great little show. And,
all right.
And so, I mean, who doesn't love U2? And then, of course, I don't know, Bon Jovi was so big for me in high school.
That was a big one for me, too. Yeah.
Yeah, Dead or Alive. And, just I don't know, there's a lot of great Bon Jovi songs for the mid-late 80s that
they were great.
made it fun. Still like to hear them now.
Yeah. All that hair.
Yes.
Who doesn't love it? Yep.
That's so funny. We must be close to the same age then because, those are my bands, too.
Yeah.
Good.
Aerosmith.
Oh, I kind of love Aerosmith. Yep.
My first concert was Def Leppard.
Yep.
That's a good
those are
one,
great
too,
times,
so.
and they still, I mean, I don't know if it's because the people graduated in 80s or now in their 40s and 50s, and it's kind of their breadbasket time of the years, but every restaurant, it seems like I go in, they're playing 80s song in the background, and I'm thinking, I can remember what I did at that song, and what I remember, it just brings back memories. So.
Yeah.
We listen to this oldie station once in a while, and when they're playing something that we know really well, we're like, really, is that considered an oldie? It's just like back in the 80s. And when you think about it, that 80s is a long time ago.
Jody, you're considered an oldie, Jody.
I had
Oldie but goodie.
30-year high school reunion. Isn't that sad?
Wow.
This summer.
What year did you graduate?
88. 88 is great.
Okay.
All right.
How dumb is that? Yep.
89 is fine, so that's mine.
Okay, I don't know what they said about 90. Whatever. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, until next time, we need to get this one wrapped up.
We do.
This is Jeff Underwood.
And Joey Sampaga.
Real Estate Marketing Maniacs. Weekly closer. See you later.
Adios. Good stuff.
Thanks, guys.